everybody today. I'm back for another crack at the ABC April 2025 challenge hosted by Tony and Margaret. All the links to their channels will be in the description box below if you're not sure what I'm talking about. But we are on the 16th of April and our letter today is N. So the ladies have given us some prompts: notebook, nature, neutral and narrow, and I'm actually not going to use any of those. I've decided to go with a no stitch, no sew, no staple, no glue binding method. So these are some little tiny books that I've made using the no glue, no stitch, no nothing binding method. So we're going to make some of these. As you can see, you can make them in different sizes and you can make them in different thicknesses, but there is a little bit of a contingent to that. So I'm just going to grab some supplies. I'm going to need my scissors and some paper, and that's pretty much all I need. So I'll grab that and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have here a couple of bits of paper. Now this is very, very thin paper. It's about 60 GSM. It's a newsprint paper. It's not particularly sturdy, but I just wanted to show you that you can use thinner papers as well. This one here has been made with 100, it's either 120, I think it's 120 GSM paper, and you can go up as much as 160 GSM, but the thicker that you go, the a little bit more finagling you need to do with your spine area. So anyway, we're going to start with this thin paper, and I've just got 2 sheets here. You can have more sheets if you prefer, but it's not really designed to, take lots and lots of pages, this method. So I'm just going to start by folding, and I'm just going to tear my pages just because I like the sort of more shabby look. So this is an A4 sheet which I've basically just folded in half and then torn down, and I want my journal cover to be the text the right way up, so I'm going to fold them in half this way. I'm going to fold some with the text going in and some with it on the outside. Now these are single-sided papers. These are from our faux invoices packs in the shop, but I just wanted to have some with blankish sides, so if I wanted to add some writing or whatever I could. So I'm just going to layer up my pages now into how I think I might want them to be. Okay, so I think that's how I want my little booklet to turn out. So I've got a blank page on the inside, and then I've got some text. Yep, happy with that. Okay, so I'm going to separate the cover and my inside pages, and I'm going to work on the cover first. Now I've got my crease here, which will be my spine. So I'm opening up my page, and I want to fold it up so the bottom and the top of the book is together. I'm not actually putting a crease in here though. Once I've got those 2 pieces, I'm just making sure I haven't misaligned that at all. And I'm just going to pinch it right here where my crease is. Now, you probably can't see that, and just for the purpose of the video, I'm just going to put a little bit of ink along the spine here. Just make it easier for you to see. So folding that in half and then just pinching, so you can see that's where my spine line is. Then I'm going to take a pair of scissors, and you can measure it if you prefer, but I'm just going to eyeball it. So I want to come in, this is the folded side, and I'm going to come in halfway and a bit. So it doesn't have to be a perfect measurement, and I'm just going to cut a slit from the closed side of the paper just over halfway, so that when I open it up, I've got this little opening right in the middle of my spine area. And then I'll just set that aside. Then I'm going to do the same with my pages. I'm just going to pop some ink along here again just to help us see with the video. Okay, so I have all my pages nestled inside each other. I've got 3 pages here. I'm going to do the same thing. I want to fold my pages up so they meet, but this time I'm going to hold the closed end of the paper and I'm going to cut about halfway and a little bit along this line, making sure I'm cutting on the open side of the pages this time. So halfway and a little bit. Open my pages back up. So I need to make sure that I've got my pages up the correct way. I don't want to have my pages upside down to my cover. I'm going to open up my pages and take one side, roll these 2 bits together, open up my cover, and then I'm sort of going to poke these rolled bits through that little slit that we just made. And I'm going to pull that all the way through till the cuts in the paper sort of naturally fall into where the spine part of the book is. So then I just pick up my book, fold my pages back on themselves, and I have my cover. So then you've got a little book with no glue and no stitching, and it's all held together with just the paper that we started with. So there we go. These are great to tuck into a little pocket or something like that, and whilst there's, they don't have the sturdiness of a stitched in spine, they're actually pretty surprising how sturdy they are. They're not really wobbly or anything like that. Now once you get to this point, you may notice that some parts of this spine might pucker out a little bit. I'm not sure if you can see, like there's a little bit here that's puckering out. So you can do a couple of things. You can carefully come in and just trim that with your scissors, make sure not to cut the other pages. But at this point you might want to reinforce this spine, because over time that will have some wear and tear on it just from opening pages and things like that. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with just tucking that into a pocket, and it's just a little booklet. If you do want to reinforce your spine, you can use lots of different things. You could use washi tape, you could use, I've just used some old book page here, and I have glued this on to my spine. So the actual method of making the book is no sew, no glue, but if you want to reinforce it, you might want to glue something on. But then of course when you come to decorate it, you're going to glue things on anyway. So a couple of other things to think about with the book, and I'm just going to open this up. So you might see that occasionally you'll get like a little pucker where the line that's been cut interferes with the closing of the book, so you end up with these little sort of curled over edges. Now it doesn't bother me particularly, but I'm just going to show you a way that you can avoid that. So I've got here another couple of these invoices, and I'm quickly going to fold them. Okay, so cover of my first, the cover of my little book here, and I'm going to slice up the middle and a little bit extra, and then I'm going to take my pages, open them up, let the 2 edges meet, hold the folded side and slice halfway and a little bit. Might not have been quite enough there. Okay, so the reason why you get that little bit of page puckering is when you fold your book, if you haven't cut perfectly along that middle line, you're going to have these little straggly bits here poking out. So what you can do is, before you pop your pages together, is on a very slight angle, up to the point where the slit is in the paper, you can cut just the slightest little edge off, and you don't want to have too much. I'll show you what happens if you do have too much. I'm just going to do the same on the bottom there, just the slightest little angle. So when we open it up, we've got this little sort of V shape here, and this is where our pages will sit inside the spine. So I'm just going to roll that up, poke it inside the book. Help everything sit flat. So now, because we've cut that little bit of excess off, we don't have the edges of the page meeting and therefore causing a pucker, but you will have this little V shape on your pages where you've cut that little piece away. So that's why you want to make sure that you don't cut it on too much of an angle. I've probably got a bit too much here. If you just cut the slightest little angle, it'll look better. But for a little notebook that sits in a pocket, I think they're very cute. So I've still got some scraps and bits and pieces lying around on my desk, so let's quickly decorate one so we can see just how quick these can be to put together. So I've just got some old book page here, and I'm going to use a piece of this to reinforce my spine, and I actually like this bit on the side. This sort of raggedy bit with no writing on. It's just got a little bit of text on the back there, so I'm just going to use this one. And I'm just going to see roughly how much I need. So about there. I'm just going to use glue stick. And I'm going to glue the front first. And then I'm just going to wrap that around to the back. Let's tear that little bit of extra off. Okay, so that's hidden my gap in my spine there and also given it a bit more stability. Now I still have these lovely little images here from one of Reni's digis. They're also cute. Don't know which one to pick, but this one's on the edge, so we'll go with her. So I'm just going to roughly cut her out, but I'm going to distress around the edges so I don't need to be too fussy about whether it's actually straight or not. I just want to get all the white bits off the edge. And then I'm just going to run my scissors around the edge to scuff up the edges of the picture. Okay, so I've just picked out some laces that I had lying here on the desk. Now this newsprint paper is really thin, so I need to be a little bit careful about how I glue this down. So I think what I'm going to do is the bits that will be seen, I'm just going to use some glue stick to help give me some sticky for the lace. Over time it won't hold it very well at all, but it'll give me a starting point. And this thicker lace, I can use my art glitter glue on the pieces that won't show through, and this will help hold the lace underneath it down as well. So something like that. And then the same with this one. I can put a bit of glue along the top because it's going to be under the picture, but then I'll just use the glue on the thicker bits of the lace so it's not going to show through. Something like that. And I think I might use some double-sided tape and glue for my picture. The picture hasn't been printed on very thick paper, and I don't want my glue to bleed through my paper and affect the ink. So I'm just going to put some double-sided tape down first, and this will also act like a bit of a barrier between the glue, the wet glue, and the image on the front. So then I'm just going to add some wet glue on top of that double-sided tape. Pop that down on top, and then I might grab a little label of some sort. Now these are on sticker paper, but I'm going to add a little bit of glue as well. So there we go, just a little bit of decoration on the front there. Now if you were going to stick it into a pocket of a journal, you just want to make sure you didn't make it too chunky, or make sure there's enough room in your journal to pop it in there. But they are super quick and simple to make, and they really are no glue, no sew little journals. So this wasn't my idea. I did see this in several different places on the internet. Some places have called it a slit book, S-L-I-T, and I've seen some other places calling it a split book, S-P-L-I-T. So you could have a look and see what other tutorials you can find that might give you some other sorts of inspiration, but super quick and easy to put together. I will leave links in the description box below to Margaret and Tony's channels, where you can find out all the information about the ABC April collab. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll see you again next time. Bye!